The rains have come, and the hot summer of racing has ended with the start of the rainy season. But the heat of competition is certainly not dampened by a wet track. It has made the racing even more thrilling, especially for newbies and young racers at the Clark International Speedway for the fourth round of the 2018 FlatOut Race Series. Up next, highlights of the first wet race of the 4 series on race weekend.
We're here in Clark International Speedway for the first wet race of the season, the 4th round of the 2018 FlatOut Race Series, as cars are once again lining up, eager for the start of the race. Many have been eager to take to the track the morning of Saturday, June 9 for the practice run, the time attack, and the grid races. It had been raining for much of the time, leading to the 4th round of the 2018 FlatOut Race Series. And much of the surface of the 4.119-kilometer Clark International Speedway was shiny and sleek with rainwater. And after seeing many of those who took the track ahead of them, slipping and sliding, spinning and fishtailing all over the track, causing all sorts of mayhem, some were not quite as eager, admitting to being scared and excited all at the same time. This was true of many of the younger drivers, most of them experiencing driving on a wet circuit for the first time, with rain pouring and windshields fogging up, affecting visibility already much hampered by the pouring rain.
The experience was definitely exciting, although I must admit it was really scary at first since it's my first wet race. But with the guidance of my coach Milo, he paved the way for me to ease the experience on the track. Since ako yung last na nasa track, it was kind of scary kasi nakita ko lahat ng nangyaring bagaan kanina and mas kinabahan ako to get out on the track, especially with the heavy rain. I definitely did encounter those challenges, yung hydroplane, yung sobrang dulas, nagpe-fishtail. So what I did was just to really try to control the car based on feeling na lang because may ibang parts of the track na I couldn't see anything, almost zero visibility na, and it was really foggy inside.
Others seemed unfazed by the rain at all, having as much fun racing in the wet as they did in the dry, even after spinning all over the track.
The first 2 rounds was okay, but last round in the BRC, I broke out 2 seconds. So I have a ballast of 50 kilos. So I'm a ricer right now because I have 2 bags of rice in my car. Then this race is good. It's raining, it's fun.
Some steadied themselves racing in wet conditions by getting to finally practice what coaches preach about racing in the rain.
Like our coach always tells us that if there's rain, you go back to the basic. You brake on a straight line, then you turn, then you gas on a straight line also. So every time that there's rain, I try to remember that we go back to the basic.
The veterans, however, fell back on the past experience with rainy conditions and how to prep cars for the slippery condition.
First time na wet race this year. Masyadong sobrang madulas ang track. We need to remove our rear stabilizers para mawala yung slipper suspension sa likod. Sumunod yung likod niya, hindi kami umikot.
Despite the rain, organizers were still happy to have been able to complete the time attack phase of a 4th race weekend. I'm here with one of the organizers of the FlatOut Race Series, Mr. JP Castellano. Hi JP, thank you for joining us.
It's nice to have you here. Welcome to the Clark International Speedway and welcome to round 4 of the FlatOut Race Series.
Can you just give the viewers an idea of who is the front runner for this leg?
Well, right now we're still working on the results, but it looks like we're seeing Raf Lao leading in the Grid A and the Bracket A, followed closely by his competitors Eduardo Suiza, and I think we have a new competitor joining Grid A today.
You've mentioned you have a new competitor. How many new fresh faces have you seen, particularly in this leg?
Today, actually, we're lucky to have, I think, 7 new faces here, and we're welcoming them at the FlatOut Race Series. And it's quite the baptism because it's such a wet race today and it's very challenging conditions for all the drivers.
You've mentioned that this is the first wet race of the season. Can you tell us how tough it is for a race car driver to enter such condition?
Yeah, while it's already quite hard to control a car at high speed in dry conditions, it's even more difficult now that we have changing weather conditions, not just the slippery track, but the changing conditions. One lap you can take this corner at a certain speed, but then the next lap it may be more wet and it may be more dangerous to go at the same speed. So it's basically down to the drivers to adapt to these changing conditions.
Okay, what are the precautions that you are ready to apply to the whole race for the drivers? Can you just give the viewers an idea of that?
Well, in circuit racing, we're one of the motorsports where rain doesn't really stop us, but it's up to our race director to make sure the conditions are just safe enough for our drivers. And of course, our bracket times are slightly different for this wet race, so we're running around 8 to 10 seconds slower for the brackets. And of course, we have the AAP and their towing service. We have a Lifeline ambulance and our own recovery crew. So we make sure that everyone is running, and if there's a stalled car, we immediately remove it for the safety of the others. And in case there are any emergencies, the ambulance crew and the paramedics are always there on standby to help us. And fortunately today, we had a few incidents of spinning out and a few contacts with the wall, but all competitors, I'm happy to say, they're safe and enjoying our race today. Thank you very much, and see you again on the next round of the FlatOut Race Series.
The wet track led to a number of surprising results, some of the younger competitors outdoing the veterans in the time attack. Although that can't be said in Bracket R, where Rafael Lau was again the fastest driver. Gabi Sohu was fastest in Bracket A, upstaging Eduardo Suiza, who came in second. In Bracket B, Jericon Singh proved enough of a rainmaster to set the fastest lap, dropping Paulo Santos to second, with Rafi Sohu ending up in third. Errol Panganiban took the wheel of an all-wheel drive Subaru WRX STI instead of his usual Mazda MX-5 and D to set the fastest lap in Bracket C. Rafi Rabu in another Subaru, a BRZ, was fastest in Bracket D, with Romel Guevara in second and Robert Tan in third. Bracket E saw Kenneth Santos besting Michael Rivero, who came in second, and Franklin Ong in third. 15-year-old Cody Nang proved his Bracket F win in round 3 was no fluke by again dominating his bracket. Emil Del Mundo was second fastest, and Mark Pascual third. Chini Jimenez, driving a Nissan 240Z, showed up the boys in Bracket G. Edwin Sarmienta outdueled Christopher Ko in the Special 86 class. Only the combined Grid D and E race was run in the 4th round as the continuous rains forced organizers to postpone the other grid races due to unsafe circuit conditions. Paul Ongcuanco proved bravest and steadiest in the rainy conditions to win the Grid D race, crossing the finish line just 6/40,000ths of a second ahead of Andre Makinatan, with Erwin Manawag finishing in third. Felix Chua dominated the Grid E race, finishing 16 seconds ahead of second placer Mark Pascual, with Emil Del Mundo finishing third.
And that concludes our exciting coverage of the 4th round of the 2018 FlatOut Race Series and the first wet race of the season. Be sure to check us out for more motorsports highlights.
There will surely be more wet and wild races in force and the other motorsports disciplines. Aside from making for more spectacular racing, this should help our up-and-coming racers to improve their skills and confidence on driving on the track, on paved surfaces or dirt courses. We certainly have a cadre of young racers ready to take the next step up in their racing careers, locally and internationally. And experience in the wet would help them grow in skill and confidence.